Last one. I'm going to.
Or that are not crossing out.
So good afternoon and welcome to bill hearings for the House Health and Government Operations Committee. I'm your chairman, Jocelyn Pena-Melnick, joined by my vice chair to the left, Ms. Bonnie Collison. Please set your electronics devices to vibrate. I'm going to do that now so that you don't get embarrassed. We're going to, all bills that are Senate cross-file of previously heard House bill will be sponsor only. The committee will accept oral testimony on Senate bills from the bill sponsor, a sponsor designee or representative of the department that requested the legislation. For Senate bills that do not have a cross-file, we will hear from the bill sponsor, one witness in favor and one witness opposed to the bill. The public may submit written testimony to indicate their position for the bill. And for the committee, please adhere to your usual committee rules. A lot of these, if they're crossed, we have already voted on it and seen it. And members of the public are able to see us live stream on the Maryland General Assembly website and YouTube. Today, we're going to start with Senator Augustine and Senate Bill 296. And it's actually Public Information Act, Public Access Ombudsman, Delegation of Powers. If you testify, tell us if it's cross and is it in the same posture. That will help tremendously.
Sure.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Pena-Melnick, Vice Chair Cullison, members of the committee. Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of Senate Bill 296, which is in the exact same posture as House Bill 331 that was led by Delegate White-Holland, which you passed favorably, and I will ask for a similar favorable report on Senate Bill 296.
Wonderful. Any questions on a bill that we passed in the exact posture? Seeing none, wonderful. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 296. Let's move on to Senate Bill 52, Senate Augustine, Health Occupation State Board of Chiropractor Examiners revisions.
Thank you, Chair Pena-Melnick, Vice Chair Cullison, members of the committee. Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of Senate Bill 52, which is in the same posture as House Bill 514, which was led by Delegate Hill. I'm going to ask for a favorable report that was positively passed by your committee. I'll ask for a favorable report on Senate Bill 52.
Any questions on Senate Bill 52, which is in the same posture? Okay? please hold her hand. Okay? Seeing none, thank you, Senator, for being with us today. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 52. Next, we have the wonderful Senate Kagan, Senate Bill 138, Public Safety, Maryland 911 Board and Maryland Department of Emergency Management and Regulatory Authority. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, friends, colleagues. Nice to see you. For the record, Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. I have 3 bills that all passed unanimously and in the same posture. This bill passed both the Senate and House unanimously. Delegate Lopez is not here for me to brag about her, but she is the cross-file, and the bills are identical. When we created MDEM, we didn't give them the ability to pass their own regs. That's what this bill would do. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions on a bill that is identical that we passed? Seeing none, this concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 138. Why don't we go to Senate Bill 36, Senator? It's Public Safety 911 Trust Fund 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline. Go ahead. Excuse me.
Thank you. No, thank you, Madam Chair, colleagues. This bill, when we created and expanded, updated our 911 system, we made a lockbox that was going to be super, super tight. And this bill creates the teeniest, tiniest little loophole so that 911 and 988, our suicide and crisis hotline, can be connected. Delegate Steve Johnson was the cross-file here, and again, it passed unanimously in both bodies. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on this bill that is identical? Seeing none, this concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 36. And the last bill, Senate Bill 167, Terminology and Obsolete References, Maryland State Firefighters Association and Related Terms. I believe that was the bill that Delegate Hutchinson had.
It was indeed.
Yes. Yeah, 164, yes.
Yes. Again, thank you all. Delegate Hutchinson was my partner on this common sense bill, finally updating the Maryland State Firemen's Association to become the Maryland State Firefighters Association. It passed the Senate and the House unanimously, and I look forward to taking any questions.
Any questions on this bill? Seeing none, this concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 164. Thank you, Senator, for being with us today.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you. Let's move on to Senator Lamb, which is Senate Bill 72, Health Occupations Board, English Proficiency Requirements and Licensure by Endorsement for Nursing. Senator Lamb. Oh, he has 5 bills. Oh, yeah. He has 5 bills and 3 are not crossed.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you, Madam Chair, for the indulgence. Thank you, Senator Simon Ayer. Clarence Lamb, for the record, Senator in District 12, here to present Bill SB 72 on Health Occupations Board. The one-liner on this is that this will allow nurses who are seeking a nursing license here, if they have passed English proficiency requirements in other states, for that to be able to be translated over to here. This is identical to the cross-file HB 367 that has passed, and they're in identical posture. So,
wonderful. Any questions on a bill that is identical? Seeing none, although I was about to vote it. Seeing none, thank you so much for being with us. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 72. Thank you for being with us, Senator. Senator Simon Ayer, will you be so kind and come up on Senate Bill 85? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 bills that are sponsor only. So let's start with Senate Bill 85. Which is the Braille Flag Memorial Act.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Simon Ayer, for the record, and just, I know I have a couple bills I wanted to say. Last year, I had a hiking accident, hurt my foot, and I got in a little scooter. Thought I'd be out by now, but the nerves are still healing. So I had to do something with my time, so I've turned lemon into lemonade and worked on some good legislation, hopefully consensus, and you'll see that. So with all that said, Senate Bill 85 is a exact cross-file of House Bill 455 with Delegate Kaiser, who did a wonderful job. Same form. I would ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you. Any questions on this bill that is in the same form? Posture, seeing none. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 85. Let's go to Senate Bill 172, which is the Maryland Veterans Trust Board of Trustee membership.
Thank you. For the record, Senator Brian Simon Ayer, Senate Bill 172. There's no opposition. I worked with the stakeholders on this over the interim. I wanted to thank the Department of Disabilities and the Department of Veterans and Military Families for their letter of support on this consensus legislation. All this does is add the Department of Disabilities as a member to the Veterans Board. Considering how many veterans have disabilities, it was just thought that this was common sense to put them on there. The chairman of the board supports it. There's no opposition, and I would ask for your favorable consideration.
Okay, and is there a fiscal note on that bill?
No fiscal note.
All right, are there any questions for the senator? All right, seeing none, and you're the only witness. So this concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 172. Let's move on to House Bill 182, Maryland Veterans Service Animal Program, eligibility, family members of veterans. Senator Simon Ayer.
Thank you. Senator Simon Ayer, for the record, Senate Bill 182, the Maryland Veterans Service Animal Program alterations. I want to thank the Department of Veterans and Military Families for working with me in their letter of support. This program was started in 2017. It's been hugely successful, and the department has done an amazing job on this. We first started with service animals such as dogs. It was later expanded to horse therapy, and today we're expanding it to military families of veterans to align with their new name, which is Department of Veterans and Military Families. The department came and asked if I would put this in, considering I put this in 2017. There's no fiscal impact, there's no opposition, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
Any questions on this bill? Okay, thank you so much. Oh, 1 second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not a question. I just want to say thank you for adding the military families into this program. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I talked with the department as late as today, and they said they have nonprofit organizations that include military families, and because we don't have this in language, they can't help them.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there are no witnesses signed up for the bill, and there are no other questions. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 182. Let's move on to Senate Bill 48, Senator Simon Ayer, Department of General Services, Identification Cards, Veteran Status Notation. Go ahead, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Senator Simon Ayer presenting Senate Bill 48. This is state ID veteran notation, and I want to thank the Department of General Services for their support. They supported this in the Senate, and they just missed the deadline for submitting it over here, but they said they submitted their support letter to the committee and that they would get that out. So also the Department of Veterans and Military Families support this with a letter, including the Veterans Caucus. It's a simple bill that allows state IDs to have a veteran notation put on it. And you might say, why do we need that? First, it was modeled after the MVA program, where one state went and said, let's put it on a driver's license. Now, every single state in the nation, including Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, has that in their law. It's modeled after the MVA program, but the difference is this is optional. The MVA program is a mandate to the department, and we made it optional as I worked with the departments so they can update their software if they do. When they do it at their next upgrade, they can do it to a subset of their groups that they want to do it to. They don't have to do it for everyone. So it gives the department flexibility. They support it. And then what happens if the veteran agrees to it, they consent to be contacted by the Department of Veterans and Military Families so they can get knowledge about more services and benefits. As you know, we have many things that we update here in law. For example, not getting ahead of my skis, but some things we're working on is NOAA and PHS getting consistent benefits. This would allow that to get out to them so they would know about that. Currently, the MVA only reaches about half our veterans. So you have roughly almost up to 200,000 veterans this could apply to. And I appreciate you helping me last year pass a bill on veteran suicide, as we have 18 to 21 veterans committing suicide nationally every day. And one of the main reasons they say is isolation. And when you have a notation on your badge, you'll have others come up and thank you for your service. You'll have other veterans talk to them, help them get in networking. And it also helps reinforce that they're not alone. And in addition to letting them have the benefits, sharing the benefits and services available to them. So there's tremendous support, including from multiple departments, no opposition, no fiscal note, and it helps our veterans. So I would ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you. Why don't you give us your name and your testimony?
Chair Pena-Melnick, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify in favor of Senator Simon Ayer's bill. I'm Dave Dragic, retired Army Colonel and Legislative Director for the Maryland Military Coalition. We strongly support this bill and what it does for the benefit of veterans who are either employees of the state of Maryland or a contractor, registered lobbyist, media, or volunteer who are issued an identification card. Implementing processes for notating veteran status is an important step. More importantly, recognition of veteran status in state processes, assuming the individual consents to do so, reduces the burden on the veteran to prove his or her eligibility for state or federal benefits, saving them the personal time and effort to do so. And as we all know too well, for the uninitiated, it can be a daunting experience working with any bureaucracy. This proactive step makes it easier for those who have served other than honorably, and if it can be done on a driver's license, it can be done on a general services card. So the Maryland Military Coalition strongly supports SB 48, asks for a favorable report from this committee, and we'd like to thank Senator Simon Ayer for sponsoring this important legislation and appreciate his leadership on this issue.
And thank you for your service, sir. We really appreciate it. I'm going to open it up for questions now. Are there any questions? Vice Chair Collison.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for this bill. I think it's fabulous. So, but it would apply to all agencies, all state employees and contractors, and so it casts a wide net, not just the Department of General Services.
Correct. It's about 75,000, but we give the department flexibility which and when they want to do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any questions? Any other questions? All right, seeing none, this concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 48. Next, we have Senator Simon Ayer's last bill hearing here. Senate Bill 67, Health Occupations Board Notation of Veteran Status and Eligibility for Benefits.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Senator Simon Ayer is presenting Senate Bill 67, as you said. And I want to thank the Department of Health, Department of Military Veterans and Military Families. Still getting used to that new name. and also the boards. So what I did over the interim, I reached out to different departments of how we could put veterans notations for the reasons I mentioned in the last bill. And the reason we have separate bills is, one is we have separate committees in the Senate that hear these, but not only that, each department has different and unique requirements. Some boards or some departments are board-centric, some departments are department-centric, some are state IDs. So I worked with them, with the boards mainly here, worked out any issues. There's no opposition. We have support from the boards at this point. Again, this is optional, and those boards that can do it, they can implement this. This would allow up to 400,000 licenses to have a veteran's notation on it. And we took suggestions from the boards where they also would like to have it on the public profile, so it's be online. Again, it's optional, it's up to the veteran, and we could share the information to them about new services. And I won't go over the previous information I shared last time, but that's the basis of the bill.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the committee. And again, for the record, Dave Dragic, Legislative Director for the Maryland Military Coalition. And for the same reason of SB 48, we support this bill and what it does for the benefit of the veterans. It's implementing these processes for notating the veteran status is an important proactive step, especially given the fact that it incorporates a recognition by health occupations boards processes, assuming the individual consents to do so. So as we all know too well, again, for the uninitiated, it can be a daunting experience, but this proactive step makes it easier for those who have served other than honorably. So again, we strongly support SB 67, ask for a favorable report from this committee, and thank Senator Simon Eyre for sponsoring this important legislation and appreciate his leadership on this issue.
And thank you again, sir, for your service and for being here with us. I'm going to open it up for questions. Are there any questions regarding this bill? All right. Seeing none, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. This actually concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 67. Thank you, Senator Simon Eyre, for your leadership. Is there anyone here for Senator Guile? Will you be so kind and come up, please? This is Senate Bill 47, State Board of Physical Therapy Examiners revisions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Spencer Dixon here on behalf of Senator Guile to present SB 47, which is in the same posture as HB 0003, sponsored by Delegate Bagnall. This committee reported that bill favorably, and it passed the House unanimously. So just ask for a favorable report on SB 0047.
And thank you very much for being with us today. Are there any questions on this bill that is identical? It's first time coming. Is it your first time here?
I think I've been before.
Okay.
But maybe
but I
have a forgettable.
We'll pretend it's his first time. Any questions?
I have a forgettable face. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. First time.
That's what we do for the first time. Anyway, this concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 47. Give her our regards, okay?
Will do.
So let's go. Let's see. Is there anyone here on Senate Bill 194? Okay, this is the state finance and procurement, state leasings of real property.
Chair Pena-Melnick.
Yes, how are you?
Good. Vice Chair Cullison, John Willems with the Department of General Services, DGS, here to thank the committee for its passage of this legislation in its House form. This bill is in identical form to the bill you've already passed. And with that, we'll request a favorable report on Senate Bill 194 to enhance our ability to advertise and make available state leases with the amendments that were developed in this committee with regard to preserving the publication of those advertisements in particularly local newspapers. So thank you.
Okay, so in the same posture as the House bill.
Precisely.
All right, fabulous. Are there any questions on Senate Bill 194? Seeing none, thank you so much for being with us, John. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 194. You're here for Senate Bill 260, correct?
Yes.
And which is the Education, Energy and Environment Committee. I'm sorry, that is not the title. I apologize. Is the, they have the wrong one? 1 second. Okay, thank you. State government forms reporting requirement repeal, Senate Bill 260. Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay.
Chair Pena-Melnick, Vice Chair Cullison, members of the committee, John Willems with the Department of General Services, DGS. Similar to the last bill, this bill has already been passed by this committee in its House form. This bill is identical and will finish, I think, the cleanup to the state's reform of its forms management system. Comprehensive legislation passed a couple years ago. This was left out of that reform and will avoid the necessity for all state agencies and units to submit forms management reports to DGS, for which we have no purpose anymore under the reform that enacted a couple years ago. So again, precisely the same form as a bill already passed by this committee, which we greatly appreciate, and request a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on a bill that is precisely in the same posture? Okay. Thank you very much. There's no other questions. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 260. Thank you for being with us. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to 196. Who's here for 196? All right. This is actually procurement, electronic transactions, clarifications of fees due. If it's in the same posture, just tell us it's in the same posture. And this is Valerie Randowski, correct?
Thank you. Yes,
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. This bill is in precisely the same posture as House Bill 284, which passed this committee with a favorable report.
Thank you so much. Any questions on a bill that is precisely the same posture? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for being with us. You have a blessed day. This concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 196. Let's move on to Senate Bill 248. Anyone here for 248? Department of Service and Civic Innovation, Maryland Courts Program Service, Your Option Pathway Revisions. This is actually jointly assigned with appropriations. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Megan Music. I serve as the Legislative Civic Innovation Specialist at the Department of Service and Civic Innovation. We are in front of the committee again today for SB 248, same posture as House Bill 33. The Senate bill passed the Senate unanimously, 45-0, and we urge a favorable report.
We appreciate it. Any questions? Oh, yes, Delegate Kaiser.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard you mention the Senate vote, but it was far from unanimous in the House. Are you aware of what the different conversations were, the different issues?
Yes, yes. So the House, there was, the vote was 101-33. Main focus was just around overall programmatic structure with relation to the program itself. But the bill has no fiscal impact, and the Senate voted completely unanimous.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? So this actually concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 248. Oh, you do have a question, Shalega. Thank you. Delegate Shalega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How can it have no fiscal impact when the fiscal note says it has an impact?
Well, the fiscal impact is in regards to cost saving. So it's with our within our program, we have two pathways. And each pathway has its own restricted funding stream. The fiscal impact comes from our request to have funding flexibility of what we use that funding for. So we are not asking for additional funding. We are asking for flexibility on how that funding gets spent within the program itself between our two pathways.
But the funding is $20 million according to the fiscal note.
This bill is not asking for additional money, though. That is already funding that's been appropriated to our department.
Right, but it is a $20 million fiscal note for the program.
Yes, and yes, that is part of our budget, yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, that is existing funding, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And this bill does not change that existing funding?
That is correct.
And this bill does not add to that existing funding?
That is correct.
All right.
This bill is just specifically asking for the flexibility of the funding we already receive.
Okay, thank you. Delegate Gazzoni? Oh, no? Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. What do you think? Oh. Okay. Thank you. So this actually concludes the bill hearing on Senate Bill 248. And we have Senate Bill 255. Who's here for that bill? Oh, come on, because we were on a roll. This is the last one. Senate Bill 255, Military Department Chief of Staff and Aides Appointment Authority. What is that the cross of?
House Bill 181.
Is it in the same posture?
Yes.
Okay, so Senate Bill 255 is in the same posture as House Bill 181. We passed unanimous in both chambers, so I would say this will conclude the bill hearing on Senate Bill 255. And it concludes your work for today. Oh, we did 260. Yeah, that we did 260 already. Okay? Go and enjoy your office with your 10 more meetings. Just kidding. Have a blessed day, everyone. Take us down, please.